think the main thing I've learned so far by making these weekly videos is that it's extremely hard to make these vlogs while shooting a photography project, which is something I need to get better at. Also, a few days ago, I made a decision to use the next few videos on this channel to share with you guys information and my experience from the world of making photography projects. This is because doing photography projects is a huge part of my workflow and a critical part of my career as a photographer, artist, and a storyteller. And on this week's video, what I want to talk to you guys about is time, because this was probably the biggest obstacle I had to face while working on my recent project here in Argentina. Originally, when I was planning to do this project, I thought I would have about a week or 10 days of working with a gaucho family here in the Pampas area. And we flew over, we found a fixer, we found a gaucho that we wanted to work with. And I think it was after the second day of working with them, we learned that because of the harsh weather they had recently, they couldn't afford spending a whole week with us. And we would only have about 2 to 3, maybe 4 days of work. And for me, this was a huge challenge because the kind of work that I do is not a run and gun. I don't just come over with a camera, snapping images and understand what is the story as I go. I usually work the other way around. I come over without a camera, without anything, and I sit down and I talk to the person I'm going to photograph. I'm trying to interview them, to learn about their life, walk around in their house, in their ranch, in their area. And I'm trying to get my head around to understand what kind of images I want to make, what kind of photography style I want to have to best tell the story of the person I met. And because we had to do the shift from having about 10 days of work to having maybe 3 days of work, we had to change the way we were looking at it, and we went into work mode. We did spend the first few days just interviewing the families, talking to Jacinto about his lifestyle, about him being a gaucho and what it meant for him. And once we started picking up our cameras and photographing, it was very clear for us what is the story we wanted to tell. And we spent every piece of sunlight and action and photograph to tell Jacinto's story and how important it was for him, his relationship as a gaucho with his family, with his son, with his daughter, with his wife, and the land around him. And that made it possible to use the small time we had and make the best out of it. And I think what I'm trying to get with all this is it doesn't matter what kind of photography work you're doing. It could be a 5-minute portrait of somebody you met along the way and you want to make the best image of it, or if you're flying halfway across the world to photograph a culture or a dedicated project that's important for you, you should always use the time you have, no matter how short or how long it is, to get to know the person you're photographing. And this just might be my opinion of how I think photography should be, but I truly believe that it doesn't matter if it's a documentary photography, culture photography, any kind of photography that does portraits of a person, the story you need to tell is not your own, but of the person on the other side of the camera. What you're doing as a photographer is learning about the culture and what's in front of you, and you're using your photography skills to tell that story in the best way for a viewer to understand it. That'll be it for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it or learned something from it. I really hope that the photography project I did here about the gauchos should be online in about 2 to 3 days. Once it does, you're going to see it at the end of this video or in the corner right here. But that'll be it for this week's video, and I'll see you guys again in about a week.